This and every Thursday on Praise 87.9 FM.
It's Right Start on a Thursday morning, starting your day with a smile. We have Dr. Cheyenne O'Connor in this morning. We have no other persons with him so far except myself. And this morning, for Family Matters, we'll be discussing family health. Good morning, Dr. Cheyenne.
Hi, morning, Dwayne. Good morning, and good morning to all our listeners who are waking up from a holiday yesterday.
Yes.
I don't know. Did you get some
Ash.
family time?
Was it
yesterday?
Ash Wednesday? Yeah.
Ash Wednesday, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I got family time, I got sleep time,
Oh, lucky you.
and I got some work time.
Lucky you. Well, we had most work time yesterday. Yesterday
Wow.
morning, we got up early and get some work done at a new community site that we're having over in Kingbird Drive.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So for most of the morning, it was fun. You know, have a lot of people working together. It was really fun.
Wow.
Got some sweat out, and of course in the afternoon got some family time to relax. Yes.
I didn't know that. I would have come around there. I was close by.
Oh, you were.
Yes.
Oh, my apologies.
I was close by.
I will put you on notice for the next one.
I was by my warehouse in the afternoon.
Okay, great.
Close by.
I didn't get the chance to on Ash Wednesdays normally is a family day at the agricultural grounds. Normally, this year didn't get the time to do that, but I guess a lot of families were out. That's always something exciting.
Yes.
To touch base in. Yep. Make no mistake about that one.
Yes, and that's the biggest family show in Cayman for years. The biggest.
Yes.
It's always a little bit too packed for me.
It can become really crazy sometimes, but it's exciting. You know,
It
very
is.
exciting. Particularly families who are interested in plants and agriculture and backyard garden, and
Yes.
which is something that we really encourage families to do.
You wouldn't know that so many cows
Yeah,
or that size of cow is in Cayman.
yeah. I went to a farm last week Sunday up in East End. I was fascinated by it, by the amount of things that are being grown, the animals that are there, and I think they were getting ready to take them to the agricultural show. So speaking of that, I think just talking about family health this morning, that's a very good healthy habit to pick up when the family can engage in planting a backyard garden.
You know, I know exactly why you're saying that. This morning he brought me tomatoes. He brought me back tomatoes. I remember probably about 10 years ago. No,
Yeah.
probably about 14 years ago I brought him tomatoes.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
From my garden.
Yeah.
But it's really good to plant. And listen, get in the habit of planting. Because if just for example, we're still importing stuff like lettuce.
Yes.
We're still importing even tomatoes.
Yeah. Quite a lot of stuff, which we don't need to. Because
And
I would suggest that the population that we have here in Cayman, right, is not large, and therefore we should be able to provide, self-sustain some of these things that we're importing. If we pay attention and expand in agriculture, right? So most of the agriculture we do are just minor agriculture. A few people sell their stuff to the supermarkets here, but I think that's an area that I probably would advise the next government coming in that they can pay some attention to expand farmlands, especially up in the eastern Bonton area. And the soil seemed to be very good soil up in that area that can produce some good stuff.
Cayman on a whole, everything you plant grows.
Yeah.
For me, except mangoes. When I plant mangoes, it probably does. But everything you plant grows. The earth is always faithful, and they bear very quickly.
Yeah.
So I think we should even start. If you don't even have land space, you could plant on your veranda.
Yep.
You could plant pot stuff.
And there are so many advantages to that. I mean, you know, my wife is an avid planter. Every day she's planting. But there are so many advantages to it.
Yes.
Number one, it gives you physical exercise, right?
Yes,
It's
yes,
extremely healthy habit to pick up from a physical perspective.
Yes.
Number two, it's a good family togetherness activity, right? So you can get the wife and husband and even the kids out and have a family together activity rather than going to, people going to the beach or they're watching a movie together. Here's an area that the family can very much be a part of,
It's a good de-stressor.
It's a good de-stressor, precisely. And at the end, you get something out of it. You get some fruits or
healthy
stuff.
It's not. I mean, you don't have to put any form of fertilizer, no form of chemicals.
That's correct.
And you're sure that what you're eating is 100%
organic. Exactly. You're positive of that. And then also it cuts down on your budget, right? So you don't have to spend so much buying carrots or cabbages or anything, those vegetables at Foster's. And even things like scallion and thyme and all the seasoning. You can really cut down your budget a whole lot.
Yes, because they're expensive.
Exactly.
I saw pepper.
I
saw
the price of pepper is crazy.
$10 a pound.
Mm-hmm.
Translate that in some other currency, and
you see what I'm talking about. So as we talk about family health this morning, maybe it's a good way to segue off from yesterday's agricultural show, and we're saying that was always a healthy thing when families go out together and get the children involved from early to learn to plant and develop things together. It's a beautiful idea.
It is.
But when we talk about the family and family health, we're looking at various aspects of the family that we have not been paying much attention to, right? So you do have the medical side of health, right? So we want to ensure that families are healthy, physically healthy, and so we recommend that family members see their general practitioners, get their medical checkups annually, and of course, depending on the age of the family members, there's whether you do it annually or biannually. And even now we're suggesting that children get themselves checked up as well, because sometimes there's the adults that they check up and the children are not, and then we're finding so many children who are now experiencing things like obesity, diabetes from early age. And so it is good healthy practice that the entire family gets their medical checks on an annual basis or biannual basis. So I guess a medical doctor will probably dive a little more into that. But then there's mental health in the family, right? Which is something that not many people pay attention to. And one of the things that I strongly recommend, and I want to probably shout it loudly from this platform, is that usually family members will take seriously their medical health, right? So they will go to the hospital and get their complete checkup. They do their screening, and the blood works and MRIs and ultrasound and whatever else necessary to see and to ensure that things are going okay in their bodies. But the area of mental health usually is left out of those annual screening, right? It's amazing if you check it out. The annual screening that we do, the preventative measures that we do, never normally involve mental health screening. So nobody walks into a psychologist's office and say, you know what, I want to do an annual screening for my mental health, which I think is necessary for nowadays to be done on an annual basis, because there's so many incidences of mental health diseases that are exploding, even among our young children. And I think that's something that we may need to begin to establish, to have our children, our entire family members screening for mental health disorders, right? For depression, for mood disorders, all the mood disorders, personality disorders, and even our elderly folks for things like dementia. right, which can affect the family. So that's something that we really would like to encourage family members to do. And then we'll probably look at later on, we'll probably look at relational health in the family, and of course things like financial health in the family. So these are topics that we'll be able to work on a weekly basis. But I really would love to take some time out to look at the mental health factors within the family.
Okay. Let me ask you something. There are issues that affect, for example, there are issues that would affect one person, probably hereditary, that they didn't, you didn't see signs of it. You didn't see signs of it in courting. You didn't ask those questions.
Yes.
You didn't ask those questions. Because there are some families that dementia runs in.
Yes.
And you're going on good, and then your spouse develops early dementia. In other words, it's earlier than normal. They develop dementia probably in their early 60s or probably late 50s. How do you deal with that?
And that's a good question. And I think you hinted at something I'd like to start off on. And that is very, very important point. Many times when we are dating, right, for whatever the reason is, we tend not to seek information on the health of the person, right? And not just the health of the person that you are particularly dating, but the health of the person's family. Because many of the mental health diseases that we have, or disorders that we have, they have a genetic component to it, right? Some of those disorders have a higher genetic component, others are less. So dementia is one area that is very much there with genetic component. Things like depression in younger people. I was just looking at a research from Stanford Medicine indicating that someone who has a parent or a sibling with major depression, right? That person probably has a 2 to 3 times greater risk of developing depression compared to the average person, right? When it comes to things like bipolar, when it comes to things like attention deficit disorder, schizophrenia, all these are major mental health challenges that have serious genetic component in it. And so one of the things that I would strongly recommend, our procedures that I strongly recommend, is that in the process of dating, while we spend time to enjoy each other's company, it is going to be necessary that we explore the family background of the person you're getting married to, because that is likely to be a factor in the relationship, right? Yeah. And so you need to know so that you can be prepared for it. Early dementia is a challenging one, because dementia in itself, any form of dementia that a family member has, is likely to be very challenging, right? Worst among them is things like Alzheimer's, for example, a very debilitating disease, and so you really want to know whether the person you're dating has a family history of Alzheimer's or any other form of dementia, because then you can prepare mentally for it as you get older. And of course, depending on the different individuals, some people start in the late 50s, which is a very early part of dementia. Now we're seeing it even earlier, all right? But usually in the 60s and late 50s, it's the normal time for onset, and developed as the person gets older. And so it's a very difficult, stressful, and I want to use the word stressful disease to manage, because there's really no cure for that. You just really have to treat the person. as much as possible. It is taxing on the family.
Yes.
When a person has dementia in the family, it is literally taxing, emotionally taxing, all right, stressful, financially taxing. It takes a lot out of the family.
Yes.
The family members to come together, and usually, the statistics prove that out. It is at the end, it is adult children who tend to have to be the one responsible to care for your older family members within the family with dementia. And somebody struggling with dementia, it is so important that the entire family become aware of the nature of the disease, right? Because the more knowledge you have of it, is the better you're able to relate to the patient with dementia. If you don't have a good knowledge of it, you can really be stressed. Right?
Something just came to my mind,
Yes.
and this is actually something that happened. You just finished university. You're a pastor. You're married to your high school girlfriend, who also just finished university. After 3 years of the marriage, your spouse got schizophrenic. What do you do?
Yeah, that's another significant and severe mental health disorder.
Because you don't. That's not. It didn't run in the family.
Yes.
It just happened.
Yes, and it can happen like that. When that happens, Dwayne, that individual needs professional help. Schizophrenia is not a mental health disease that you play around or you treat with herbs, right? It needs mental health. You need professional help to deal with it, because again, that can be another very, very stressful mental health issue in the family, right? If you are able to detect it early and you can get early intervention, a person can have a very fruitful life with schizophrenia, right? Because it can be managed. It can be managed with medication and psychotherapy. There are a number of skills that the individual can learn, and family support. Family support is critical with somebody dealing with schizophrenia. So it is not all over if a person has schizophrenia. One of the main things you want to do is to be able to catch it early, get early intervention. Again, that's another of the mental health disorders that we need the entire family to be on board. Because the spouse need to understand the nature of the disorder, how it manifests itself, what are the symptoms, all right? So you can relate to it. So in other words, when the person is behaving in this manner, when they are reacting in this manner, when the things that they're saying, the things they believe in, because schizophrenia has some different components to it. One of them is delusion, right? So they have delusions which are strong beliefs, false beliefs. The keyword there now. Keyword is strong, very strong. False beliefs, right? Strong belief in something that is not real, right? If you, as the other spouse, understand the nature of the schizophrenia, then you're better able to relate to them. If you don't, then you'll end up in quite a lot of contentions and arguments and fights. And stress is not a good factor for schizophrenia. Yeah, because stress helps to trigger schizophrenic behavior, right? Family fights, family contentions, family arguments are things you want to avoid with anybody with schizophrenia. Right? You'll help them. You can assist them in getting what we call a structured life. Very, very important. If they're able to get a structured life, meaning they have something worthwhile doing. They either go to work, right? Sometimes they will lose their job over it, but if you can help them find another job, maybe volunteer in the community, something to give them purpose in their life, something to give them direction, right? And even if they don't have a job, but there are groups, let's say psychotherapy groups or support groups that they can go to, you really want them to have an order in their daily activity rather than just sitting down not doing anything. So getting them out on a daily basis is helpful. Things you want to avoid, things like using alcohol, right? You don't want a schizophrenic person to be drinking alcohol.
Or smoking,
right?
You don't want a regular person to
You really don't want. So it's a whole package surrounding the care of a schizophrenic person that you need. And I'm saying if the family members have that understanding, they are the best supporting figures for individuals with schizophrenia, and you can get them back having a healthy and productive life.
Wow. I just asked the question, but it just came home to me. It's hard to deal with.
It is. But as I said, it's not over. So number one, we strongly recommend medication when it comes to schizophrenia, because schizophrenia has to do with the imbalances of the brain.
Yes.
Right? Neurons in the brain. Right, so we strongly recommend a combination of medication, antipsychotic medications, and psychotherapy. So somebody with schizophrenia would definitely need to see a psychiatrist and a psychologist together, right, collaborating together to assist them in terms of the treatment plan towards them. But there are a number of people with schizophrenia, you don't even know that they have schizophrenia.
They don't even know.
Right? Because because they have been helped early.
Yeah.
And they have the good support system, good family system, good job, and they're participating in society. So it's not a end all situation. Right?
And is it something that can be early diagnosed, or sometimes it comes in subtle forms that you don't even know? You might just say, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Or that's how he is, or that's how she is. She always thinks those things, or whatever. Or he always thinks those things.
Yeah, it can be diagnosed easily. It normally the onset is usually from late adolescence into early adulthood, right? That's when you normally pick it up. And it depends again between male and female, right? You can pick up some odd behaviors. Those are what you're looking for.
Yeah,
odd behaviors, odd thoughts, right? Those are when you begin to see these odd thoughts or odd behaviors, disorganized speech, disorganized thoughts. Maybe it's speaking and in the middle of their sentence they stop and start something completely different without finishing the statement. Or they may be saying, okay, they are hearing voices. These are what we call hallucinations, right? That's one of the clearest signs that something is not okay. And of course, hallucinations can take place in all the five senses. A number of people are familiar with hearing voices, right? But are seeing things. But all five senses you can hallucinate in, hearing, seeing, tasting, feeling. People can feel things on them that nobody else sees. They're brushing off their hands and there's nothing there. Or they may see a spider on the wall, but nobody else sees a spider on the wall. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So if you're living with these individuals, you're easy to pick up very strange behavior, odd behavior, which is not normal. Right? That should put you on notice that something is not okay here, and it's all right to check that out from early. Right? Don't overlook that.
Right. Family Matters, we're talking about family health this morning. If you want to share in the conversation, give us a call at 945-9029. That's 945-9029. Also, check us out on our YouTube channel, CICMEDIAKY. We're talking about different aspects, different factors that could affect your marriage, your family health. So we dealt with dementia, schizophrenia.
One big one for younger people is depression. Yep. That's one area that we have spoken about so often, and some people treat it lightly, but within the family, it can create a number of disturbances. So for example, just like dementia or schizophrenia, depression has its genetic factors to it, right? Members, as I just quoted, the piece of research out of Stanford, right? People with family members, right? You have a child or your parents with depression, they're 2 to 3 times more likely to have depression in your family. So again, if you're dating, that's something you want to look at. But it can take depression can take a serious toll on a relationship or on a marriage because of how it manifests itself, right? So people with depression, may have low energy, right? They may have a lack of desire. Imagine you're married to somebody and the person just don't have any desire to do anything. The things they used to love, they no longer enjoy it. They don't want to go anywhere. They don't want to do anything. That can really pull that relationship really, really down, right? And then the other person is likely to misinterpret this behavior. Why you don't want to go out with me? Why you don't want to do anything with me? Why don't, even in terms of intimacy, a person with depression may not even have any desire for intimacy anymore. Can you imagine how quickly a spouse who's not aware of what's happening can misinterpret that to mean, oh, you don't love me anymore.
Or you love somebody else.
Or you love somebody else. You can see how that can easily turn into something undesirable, right? So it is so critical then that when we're dating, or the person that we're marrying, we understand these background. Because when they manifest in the marriage, right, they create problems, huge problems. And for not just for spouses, let's say for children.
Yes.
This is another big area. Identifying depression in your child. Because that again can be another source of family tension. So children don't want to get up out of their bed in the morning. They don't want to do their school work. They don't want to bathe, right? The personal hygiene is affected. The responsibilities they have at home, they don't keep their room tidy. They don't want to take out the garbage if there was assigned to that. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to go anywhere. It is easy for parents who are seeing these types of behavior to get upset and get angry, right? And then we have a parental-child conflict, right? You can see how that can go down the wrong road when the parent may not even be aware that this is what is happening to the child.
Depression,
precisely. Because just think about it. If mom or dad becomes aware that, okay, my child is having depression, then the way they relate to the child would be different because they're now informed that the child is having a mental health issue.
So it's not laziness.
Exactly, precisely the point. It can easily misinterpreted as being the child is just being lazy or being selfish or whatever. And you can see how a parent may respond to that as against getting the knowledge that the child is having a mental health issue.
There are many children who would have had these mental health challenges, not just depression, right? And thank God for the tools that you guys have in assessing children to see what's happening. I know of a particular child who had where the way he processes stuff is different from a normal child. Well, different from another child. I'm not saying normal, another child, right? And so the effort that would take just a regular child to solve a problem, he has to work 3 times as hard.
Yes.
So his C would be equivalent to their A on an exam.
And that is exactly the reason. That's exactly the reason why they have special education services in school. Right? You have a SENCO officers in most of our schools. Because there are children with learning disabilities, all right, with challenges.
That has nothing to do with laziness.
That has absolutely nothing to do with laziness. All right. There are many of them who are far from being lazy. They want to learn.
Yes.
Right. They are motivated to learn. They are driven to learn, but they have challenges. And sometimes these challenges create embarrassing situations for them when they are in classes.
Yes,
right?
yes.
All right. So it can be complex situation that they have, and it is for that reason why psychologists have identified the need to have special education services provided for these children. So take a child like that, for example, or even a child with something as common as ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder.
Yes.
You put those children in the same classroom with everybody else. Very likely the others are going to excel above these. And it's not that these children do not have the capacity to. They do have a mental health challenge that is setting them back.
And they learn at a different pace.
And they learn at different pace.
But
right?
they do learn.
They very much do learn, right? And so it is going to be necessary that these children are assessed. And that's why at our office, the Institute for Essential Care, we do have an educational psychologist, Sophia, who does a fantastic job in assessing these children and treating some of the learning disorders and making recommendations. So it is very, very important that parents become aware.
Yes.
The fact that your child is not performing in school does not necessarily mean that the child is lazy or that the teachers are bad or not effective, but there may be other stuff going on, and so it is important that you get the child checked out to see exactly what is happening there.
These are very important things that when you're courting, when you're dating,
Yes.
you should consider from early. You consider, will I be needing, if we have children, what are the pros and cons?
Yes.
What are things that can happen?
Yes.
I'm probably just going back 2 weeks ago, right? If we should have children and the child comes out with autism, how do you prepare to deal with that? Or you understand what I'm saying? That kind of situation.
That discussion you're saying that discussion needs to be had. Yes, definitely.
You have to prepare for it.
You definitely need to be prepared for the eventualities, because when it is most devastating is when you least expect it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If you know that this particular person, or even in my family, there's this possibility that I have family members with autism or any of those, it is important to share that in the dating so that we become aware of it.
Yes.
And again, just like any other mental health disease, right, or disorders, the things like autism picked up early, treated early, is extremely helpful, all right? But again, it can be very taxing on parents, right?
Yes.
So you want to have that discussion long before we say I do, so we can be prepared for it. The stress is when, oh man, you don't expect it to come, right? And that's when you're really stressed out.
Here's another stressor. You didn't plan for a child as yet. Your finances are not really exactly where you want it to happen, but the child's wife got pregnant.
Yes.
It's not one child, it's a twin. Or a
There you go.
triplet.
Double joy, but also double challenges.
Yes, what do you do?
Double joy and double challenges, yes.
Or triple.
Yeah. You know, a twin is not necessarily, of course, the joys they're having too, right?
Yes.
But in terms of the challenges, it's
Caring.
caring for them. It can be stressful, and again, individuals would need to seek help. There are support groups that can assist parents with twins.
Yes.
But think of it. There are a lot of advantages, a long list of advantages if you end up with two children at the same time.
Especially if it's two boys.
Yeah. There are advantages, financial advantages, right?
Yes.
So So they can share the same toy,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And sometimes they share the same clothes, right?
Yes.
You don't have to buy a new set of clothes over and over. They can be company with each other,
Yes.
right? So they can be playing together while you can be doing things that
They will naturally do that.
they will naturally do. When they go to school together. They have company going to school. They can protect each other. They good support system with each other, and so there are lots of advantages growing up. The thing is just that you may have to buy two of most things, right?
Yes, yes.
But yeah, the problem is when it becomes 3 and 4,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's when you really go over the board. But there are support groups.
Yes.
There are parenting groups in the society who would be more than willing to,
Yes.
would be delighted to assist a couple.
Yes.
So if you do end up with twins and you didn't expect it, then reach out to the parent support groups.
Yes,
There are
yes.
a number of people who would be happy to assist you in
Yes,
that
yes.
regard. Yeah, but interesting stuff.
Yes,
Interesting
yes.
stuff.
8:36 in the morning is right start on a Thursday morning, starting your day with a smile. We're at Family Life, Family Matters, and we're dealing with family health this morning. Dr. Sharon and myself only. We have none of the other.
The ladies have
clinicians.
abandoned us
Yes,
this morning.
Yes, yes. I guess they're family healthy.
Yeah.
So when looking at these challenges, are there any other aspects of family health that you want to touch on?
Yeah. Another area of family health is what I will refer to as the relational health.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So we speak about the medical health.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about mental health in
Yes,
the family.
yes.
How stressful these can be and how we can get help. Big area is relational health in the family.
Mm-hmm.
How are family members interacting with each other?
Mm-hmm.
How are they working together? Are there tensions in the family? And that's something that we need to look at. One of the big issues that has to do with one of the, probably I would say, measuring stick for relational health in the family, yardstick, is how effective is communication in the family. Huge, right? Because once communication is taking place in the family, then we can solve the issues.
Problems.
Yes, sir. We can solve the issues in the family. When communication breaks down, then we have a problem because the issues cannot be solved. And so one of the things that you really want to ensure as a healthy family is to ensure that communication is taking place. And that's a challenge for many people.
Pastor, one day I was at work, probably 10 years, 15 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever it is. I was at the bank, and one of my colleagues said, she said, "What's wrong with you guys?" Right? She said, "What's wrong with you guys? When you guys use a face basin,
Yeah.
you wonder if it's a pipe that's in the ceiling that just wet up the whole place." So I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "My spouse, when he uses the bathroom, when he uses the face, everywhere wet up, everywhere wet." And so when I finished using the bathroom the next day, I realized that the place was wet. Katie didn't say anything. But from then, I made sure
That you clean up.
to clean up.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, I don't know, some spouses won't speak about it, but there are things that can cause little aggravation in the family, and it grows into a mountain if it's not done.
There are many things.
Yes.
There are many things that will contribute.
And you take it for granted.
So, yes.
Because I didn't even pay attention to the fact that I was flooding the place.
And I'm happy you raised that issue.
Yes.
But we can multiply that 1,000,000 times over.
Where you leave your shoes.
Where you leave your shoes,
Yeah.
right? Where you leave your clothes,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Is there's a basket in the bathroom or somewhere where you put your
Yes.
dirty clothes, right?
Yes.
There's a place to put them. All
Yes,
right.
yes.
Do you leave them on the sofa? Do you leave them on the bed? Do you leave them? So there are many things. So, what time are we supposed to have dinner? Right?
Yes.
Do we have dinner at 9 o'clock in the night, or do we have
Yes.
dinner at 6 o'clock?
Yes.
You know, there are so. How do we squeeze the toothpaste? Do we squeeze it from the top, or do we squeeze it from the bottom? Some people are just annoyed, right? If you squeeze the toothpaste from the top,
Do you leave hair on after you shave?
after you shave, do you leave the hair on the counter, or do you clean
Yes.
up the toilet seat? Is it up or is it down when you use it?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
When you're sharing those same intimate spaces, there are so many things that can create a little tension, for which communication is necessary to address them amicably, right? So can you imagine now if we are not communicating, right, and we are upset because you will spill the whole place, right? Let's say even toilet seat, right? There's a little bathroom sign. I went in a public bathroom that says, if you sprinkle when you twinkle,
Yes.
be neat and wipe the seat, or
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
Something like that, right? So if, for example, you're sharing the bathroom, which in the family most times you do, and you do not take care to ensure that you leave it the way the way you find it, or you leave it clean for the other person to come.
Yes.
So many issues, and here's the point, Dwayne. When we counsel couples who are dating, who are preparing for marriage, in premarital counseling, one of the things that we stress is that the relationship you now have in dating, it is going to be different from the one you have in marriage.
Miss
right?
Lou said it this way. See me and
come
come live with me
is two different. Exactly. Exactly. I like that one.
Yes.
See me and come live with me is two different things. Yes, sir. Because in dating, right? When we're dating, there's no argument over who leave the toilet seat up or where you leave your shoes, or where you leave your clothes, or what time we have dinner. Or no, because when we're dating, we pick you up, we take you to a restaurant, we eat, we have fun, we laugh, we go back home. When we're married, it's a completely different thing altogether. And so these domestic issues, right?
Yes.
These intimate domestic issues, who make the bed when you get out of it? Is it wife or husband, right? Who cleans the bathroom? Who puts it? These domestic issues are now going to surface in the relationship that you never had to deal with when you were dating. How are they solved? They are solved through communication, right? So if communication is, if every time we talk, it ends up in an argument, it ends up in a fight, then what's going to happen is that, okay, we're not going to talk about it, because every time we talk, we end up in a fight. So this doesn't make any sense. So what happened? The issues are there piling up, right? They are piling up, but we're not talking. And the more they pile up, right, and the more aggravated we are. And the greater the intensity of the anger builds within us, or the aggression builds within us. And so the next time we talk, right, it's going to be an explosion, right?
Yes.
Can you see how that can happen? So it is so important then that families learn to communicate, right, when things come up that you are not comfortable with, right? Very, very important. Don't wait until they pile up, all right? Or don't say, well, it doesn't make sense. Because if we're not able to talk to each other, then we perhaps need to find a way to get help so that we can begin to talk.
So again, you will see exactly why some things that we discussed a couple weeks ago were important.
Yes.
We looked at persons who went into relationships for benefits. So it puts the person who's giving the benefits
Yes.
in a more controlling position. And so can you imagine if you're in this situation and some things offend you, but you don't want to talk about it because when you look at the
benefits. Yes. That is a trap.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And there are a number of people who find themselves married but are in a trap. Because when you marry, you should, again, the definition for marriage is a voluntary union,
Yes.
right? Between two consenting adults. You should not marry under duress. And duress can come from various sources, right? So, as you spoke a while ago, you should not be in such great need, right? That you marry because you have financial need or because you have an immigrational need. You need to be stable on the island or any such reasons, right? If those are the reasons you get married, then you are going to find yourself trapped in that marriage because you can't say anything when things are not going well, right? And the last thing you want to happen to be in a relationship where you are not free to share your opinion, where you're not free to say what is affecting you, when you are not free to express your feelings, your opinions, or emotions, then that relationship is not going to last for too long because you can keep it and for so long. And if you're not able to do that, then what it does, it begins to change who you are. You become sad, you become anxious, you become angry, you become irritable, and then you realize, okay, this is not me. I'm not happy in this relationship. The ability to talk, the ability to communicate releases those pressure, right? And create healthy relationship in the family. And so the person will be able to understand, okay, I didn't know that you were affected this way, right?
Yeah.
Had I known you were affected this way, I would not have done it. And so, okay, so now we have an understanding, and I will decide in my mind that I will not take this course anymore. So that is healthy relationship. That's healthy in the family. If that is not taking place, we really have a problem. And so I would definitely and strongly encourage family members. And by the way, it's not just husbands and wife, right? It's also between parents and children. It's between parents and children. It is between
We're getting a call.
in-laws.
Good morning, caller. Could you turn the radio down?
Morning, Pastor Connor.
Hi, morning.
I just want to share here. I totally agree with everything that's been said. Usually, these things affect the ladies.
Yes.
So we want the shoes there. We want the bathroom to be clean up after you.
Yes.
We want. The ladies are usually affected by that. I just want to share one thing.
Yes.
When my husband took sick, and after we got him settled at Health City and got home this evening, I hear a voice literally said to me, he usually come home late sometimes because he has to work, but tonight he's not coming home. I fell on the carpet and I cried. I cried. After that, I looked around in the house and I wish 1,000 shoes were in the way.
Wow.
Towels that this and that were out of place.
Yes.
He was not there. He's still not there. So I'm saying all of this to say, while we want the place to be perfect as ladies, people are more important than things.
Wow.
To cherish the moment with our loved ones. And, try hard to meet each other halfway. But remember to love the person, because when they're not there, it gets bigger than the problems that you had. Just want to say that.
Wow.
Thank you, caller.
That is such a powerful, very, very powerful input. Yep. Very, very powerful input. If you miss that, you really should not miss that.
Yeah.
That despite the desire to get things in place, yes, at the end of the day, the people, the loved one, the family members. In other words, don't sacrifice your family members for their mishaps or their misbehaviors, or or their inability to fall in line, because at the end of the day they are more important. Beautiful point.
You know something, Pastor? So something just came to me.
Yes.
So here was a child with some form of ADHD or ADD, right? That was not treated. A child.
Yes.
Became an adult, still possessing some of those traits that would cause them to leave their towels there,
Yep.
cause them to leave that there, cause them to leave that there, with no intention of hurting you, with no intention of being untidy.
Yes. Yes.
But it's just how the brain processes.
You are hitting at a very good point, and it is connected to what the caller just
Yes,
said.
that's what I'm saying.
Yes. Very good point. Mental health is an amazing. Psychology is an amazing science.
Yes.
Amazing science. It gives you in depth into the behavioral pattern of individuals, right? And let me express a little on that point that you have just made. So ADHD, for example, right? Attention deficit hyperactive disorder is a mental health disorder that affects children as well as adults, right?
Yes.
So we have what is called an adult version of ADHD, right? There are some people who pick that up, what we call the onset, childhood onset, right? We have the childhood version, you have the adult version. So that's a classical case where a child may have ADHD and it grows with the child into adulthood. The behavioral patterns or the symptoms of the children are different from the symptoms of the adult, but they are similar in their nature, right?
Yes.
Very similar in their nature. So things like leaving their shoes at certain places, starting a project and don't finish it, starting a dinner and don't finish it, starting to do the dishes and leave half of the dishes empty, unwashed in the sink. Doing chores at home that are not complete. They start and they don't finish. You have to be behind and say, pick this up, stay here. Those symptoms carry over into adulthood, all right, and can affect the adult, right, in the very same manner. So the point you're making is very germane. If you don't understand that, right, it can frustrate the relationship. Oh man, if you're dating somebody with ADHD, they have a million plans, but they can't bring them out to naught, right? They can't come to fruition, right? As they start one project, they start another project, right? And they probably will move from one relationship to another relationship because the brain is always active, always. If you have an understanding of that, you are better able to relate to the person. There's less argument, there's less tension, there's less fight, there's less conflict because you understand why the person behaved the way they behave, all right? If you don't, then we're going to have these arguments. And so it is so important, cannot overemphasize it, the need to get an understanding of the mental health status of the person you're marrying, of the people in your family, so that we can treat them better, we can relate to them better, we can handle the situation better. It's so important that we do that. And for many families, that aspect has been abundant, right? It only comes up when something severe happens and they say, no, this is not normal. Let's take this person to the doctor, and then the doctor may recommend them to see us.
Wow. So you might be there quarreling with your spouse or with yourself that your spouse is this and that, when it's indeed there's a text in the Bible. There's a text in the Bible that's just so spot on. Judge not.
Yeah. That be not be judged.
That should be not be judged.
Yes.
Not, because you don't know.
Yes. and there are 2 points to this you're doing. Understanding your family members, understanding your children, and your spouse.
Yes.
And your parents, understanding them, understanding their behavioral patterns, understanding the way they think, is very important in detecting when something has gone awry, right? Because as a family member, you can know when something is out. And the minute that you realize that this is not normal, it is important for us to seek the help and to value the family members. That caller's point is so germane. Do not let these tensions in the family, don't let these arguments in the family cause you to lose your spouse or cause you to lose your children, right? Don't let these fights cause you to lose your parents. If there are tensions, right, that you can't solve, get help. Because as the caller was saying, the family members are more important than getting things right. Right?
Tell you something.
They're more important than getting these things right.
Because you might just wake up one day, and as stressful as things are, the person is no more. Yeah. And then that's when you realize.
That's when you regret it. You know how many people have lost family members and they're crying, and in the middle of their crying, what are they weeping about? I wish I didn't do this to him. I wish I had spent more time. I wish I didn't argue. I wish I didn't do this. I wish I just leave those things. I wish I could just accept.
And especially if that's when you realize you get the real diagnosis as to why
the person behaved like that.
Behave that way. Yeah. I remember. I mean, I had a similar situation. I had a brother who I grew up learning that he's just bad. I grew up to learn that he's bad, right? To the point where not long before he passed, he called me one day and he was crying, right? And to be honest with you, I was like, oh, this guy he's going to whatever extent to trick me.
Wow. You thought he was tricking you?
He was tricking me. When he was actually crying for family.
Yes.
For love.
Yes.
You understand? And it was when he got really, really sick. And mind you, we have had some serious encounters that humanly I didn't want to have anything to do with him. Because what was said of him was proven, I thought was proven to be true. And it was on his very, very sick bed, I got understanding of something that I thought was true.
Wow.
That wasn't true.
Wow.
And it was really heartbreaking.
Wow.
Really, really heartbreaking. And I would say this to families. If you don't understand, if your child is acting strange, you don't understand, seek help. Don't call them bad, don't call them worthless, don't call them troublemaker, don't call them this.
That's correct.
Right? Because it can you're wrong.
Yeah. It is, and that's the message we would like to get out.
Yes.
Because in so many cases, right, there's something genuine that is going on. There are challenges that even the child may be facing. And that's why some children end up hurting themselves.
Yes.
Because they have been seeking help. There are issues that they cannot handle. Maybe they don't feel. Maybe the family members are trying to give love, but they are not providing love in the language that the person understands it.
Yes.
And so they still don't feel that the family love them. They don't feel cherished. They don't feel valued. They don't feel accepted. And so they end up doing stuff or saying things that seek to get the family's attention. And that can be easily misinterpreted and create a major problem. They're children with what we call opposition defiant disorder, right? They're just very defiant, right? A parent can easily misunderstand that, flog the child or curse the child out, and that just make it worse because you don't understand what is taking place. So the point to be made is when these things are happening, just as how the child is having a headache or is having a tummy ache or is having some discomfort, and you take them to the doctor to see what's going on, is the same way when they have behavioral disorders.
That's not normal.
That is not normal. Bring them in to a mental health professional to see what is going, because usually there's something going on behind that. You can save that child, you can save the family, and you can save yourself.
That's your child. It was made by you and your spouse.
Definitely.
There
Definitely.
was no third party involved.
Definitely.
Right? And care for your child.
Yeah.
Pastor O'Connor, it's 9:01.
Oh, wow.
And there are many things that we could talk about, and I think we should continue on this next week.
We can continue the same subject, because there's still a lot to dive into next week as we look at mental health and the family. It's such a broad area. So many families are struggling in different aspects of mental health. And we'll be happy to continue this next week.
Let me just thank you for making yourself available to give these very important advice that many people have to pay a lot for. And for those who want to get more, who want to see you on a more on a closer private level, you could go to the Institute for
Essential Care.
Care.
We're at 59 McClendon Drive. That's behind Foster's Airport Center. We do have a range of clinicians. We'll be more than happy. Psychologists will be more than happy to assist you in any kind of mental health issues that you may be having, family-related issues, learning disorder, educational challenges. We'll be more than happy to assist.
I would recommend that even if you don't think that you have a mental health issue,
yes, still come in and do screening. For example,
do a checkup, just like you go to the doctor.
That's right. Do a checkup. Do a
checkup.
mental health checkup.
It's very, very important that you do a checkup, because you'd be surprised to know that you might have a condition
precisely
that needs attention, or not you, but just doing your checkup, you'll find that probably your spouse has a condition.
Yes, or your child. Yes.
That needs attention.
Preventative care.
Yes.
Tremendous.
They say that prevention is the only cure in some cases.
I like that word.
Right. This has brought us to the end of Red Start for this Thursday morning. Be sure to join us again tomorrow as we do it all over. Next week as we come to you with another Family Matters. What good?
Is your marriage in need of renewal? At the Institute for Essential Care, our Marriage Institute offers spiritual care counseling, marriage and premarital counseling, and guidance for couples preparing to start a family. The Institute for Essential Care. Call us today at 1-345-325-7556. Email us at tifecscheduling@gmail.com. Visit us online at www.caymanessentialcare.com. Life is full of challenges, but you don't have to face them alone. At the Institute for Essential Care, we're here to support, guide, and empower you and your family through every stage of life. The Institute for Essential Care. Call us today at 1-345-325-7556. Email us at tifecscheduling@gmail.com. Visit us online at www.caymanessentialcare.com. Family Matters is brought to you by the Institute for Essential Care.
Strike Zone House of Fun, Grand Cayman's only laser tag arena, invites everyone to an unforgettable experience where the entire family can enjoy alcohol-free, fun-filled time. Let Strike Zone House of Fun host your next birthday party, corporate event, fundraiser, church, school, and social events. We are located in Cannon Place, North Sound Road, units 224 to 227. Join our global membership program, create your own game ID, and earn bonus points as we get ready for league and challenges. For more information, visit our website, StrikeZoneLaserTag.com.
Hi, welcome to Jesus Wins, a daily devotional by Elizabeth Talbot. This whole month of March, we will be exploring the topic, Following His Guidance. March 6, His Report. Go and report to John. The lepers are cleansed. The dead are raised up. The poor have the gospel preached to them. Luke 7, verse 22. As I write this devotional, there have been 2 mass shootings in the United States in the last 2 weeks. Many people lost their lives in these disastrous events. In the midst of personal and corporate tragedy, many may ask, where is God in all of this? Sometimes the effect of unbearable and unexplainable pain in our lives may translate into doubts in our minds and darkness in our hearts. What answer does Jesus provide for us in moments like these? Jesus had been healing the sick, raising the dead, and proclaiming the good news. And John the Baptist, who had devoted his public ministry to proclaiming the arrival of the expected one, is now sitting in his dark and smelly cell, alone and in pain. He has a question for Jesus. Are you the expected one, or do we look for someone else? Luke 7, verse 19. Wow! Obviously, John was struggling with his own expectations about the coming one, unlike the way in which Jesus was carrying out his ministry. Perhaps the same is happening to you today, and you are wondering about Jesus and his intervention in your life. Are you the expected one, or do we look for someone else? Luke 7, verse 20. The emphasis on the expected one, or the coming one, is repeated in both verses, drawing from several verses in Isaiah, especially Isaiah 61, verse 1. Jesus answered by sending John a report about his salvific activity. The blind received sight. The lame walked, the dead were being raised, and the gospel was being preached to the poor. All of these were proofs, enacted parables of his redemptive purposes. That was the report to be given to John. That was the evidence of who Jesus was and is. Even though all of us can witness about God's miraculous intervention in our lives, we often aren't able to explain pain, tragedy, and the reason why God allows certain things. During those times, let's cleave to the core evidence that God has provided through Jesus, his salvific deeds in the plan of redemption. Someday, we will understand all things. Until then, let's cling to the cross and trust.
Today's podcast was excerpted from the book Jesus Wins, published by Pacific Press Publishing Association. If you would like to purchase your own printed copy, you can do so by calling 1-800-765-6955 or by going to AdventistBookCenter.com or Jesus101.tv. From all of us at Jesus 101, thanks for listening, and remember, Jesus wins.
For more than 20 years, Susie has been listening to Focus on the Family, finding spiritual encouragement and practical help for her marriage and family. And that's why she donates every month to the ministry.
I know that any gifts to the good work that Focus on the Family does will have eternal consequences for whoever happens to be listening to the show at whatever time.
Hi, I'm Jim Daly. I'd like to invite you to join Susie and become part of our Friends of Focus on the Family team.
Just never underestimate what God can do with any offering. We may not know the ripple effect caused by our gifts, but we can be sure that they will be used towards His kingdom.
Working together, we can be a lifeline to families, giving them godly truth and hope. Join our monthly support team today by calling 800, the letter A and the word family, 800-A-FAMILY, or donate at focusonthefamily.com/families.
Today on Focus on the Family with Jim Daly, we'll explore how digital technology can affect your family, so much so that you might need a long break from it.
I know detoxes.